Yes. And I also believe that, when we hold our stories back, when we overcome a certain trauma or difficulties in our life, and, we're now at a different space like you are, it's so important to share that story with hopes of helping other people who are going through similar trauma or similar difficulties, to pull them up. It would be so a disservice to humanity to hold our stories back and not share it with the world. Um, yeah, so like I want to go back to our morning routine.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're a big champion of morning habits, and why do you think everyone should have a morning routine?
Because I mean, one, back to the point I said earlier, foundation for success, but two, it's a so many people suffer from a lack of control in their life. It's why anxiety, depression, stress are at all-time highs, right? Because they wake up in the morning and they don't know exactly what they should tackle
Mm.
to wake up physically, spiritually, mentally, all those pieces. And instead they go to their phones or they watch the
Mm.
news. And the news, social media, it's very toxic and it's
Mm-hmm.
very negative, and they do that for a reason. So imagine starting your day off where you're watching the news and
Mm.
all the negative things that are put
Yes.
out there. It's going to spiral you down that path towards negativity. And
Yes.
I always say you have a choice when you wake up. It's going to be a great day or a bad day. And that's a choice
That is true.
consciously, you consciously have the power to make, and people give up that power and they
Yes.
don't take control. And then they have a crappy day. They flop on the couch, exhausted, stressed with nothing left. And then they wonder, how am I going to do this again tomorrow? And it's playing defense versus
Yes.
offense. And I have two sons, soon to be 13, 11. I've coached them
Oh,
in basketball.
yes.
I've coached sports for many years. It's like that defensive stance in basketball where your knees are bent, you're bent at the hips, your quads are burning. That's how so many people play their days out. And they wonder
Yes.
why they're just so spent at the end of the day with nothing left, because you're giving complete control to everything else in life. And that's why anxiety, stress, depression, they're such a battle for people.
Yes.
And it's incredible to watch when people
Yes.
make that change.
That is so true. I stopped watching TV the news back in 2013 because I realized that it's strategically put into place to lower our frequency and put us in a state of fear where we're always thinking someone or something is doing something to us, and keep us in a victim mentality. But I think a lot of people really are not even aware of what's going on in that sense. It's they're just so caught up in that habit of routine of doing the same thing every morning, getting out of bed, turning on the news to see what's going on for the day, what events, and they're not really thinking that this is really harming them. Because if they really think that, I don't think they would truthfully know that this is something that is potentially, not even potentially, it is poisoning their mind. And I really don't think that they would continue that. A lot of people are just really unaware of who they are and how their mind works.
And
Right?
I love that you bring up awareness, right? And I am such a fan of awareness because so many people aren't aware of negativity
Mm.
and how negative emotions, negative experiences, how the monkey brain, the caveman brain, whatever you want to call it,
Yes.
amplifies it, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
anybody listening, when you have something negative happen, the caveman brain says that it's a saber-toothed tiger out there ready to kill you. So it invokes the fight or flight response. It amplifies
Mm-hmm.
those negative experiences 8 to 9 to 10 times more than a positive experience. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why you get fixated on it, and can just poison you. And I remember years ago, and I love when things happened in the past and I can connect the dots. Looking back, my wife went out with all of her girlfriends one night. She came back. I said, "How was your night?" She said, "Oh, it was fantastic." But one girl said one thing to me and it ruined my night. And that was the negativity bias, right? The mind
Mm.
fixated on it,
Yes.
saw it as a threat. Well,
Yes.
it's just somebody's words. It's not, you're not in a life or death
That's
situation,
not your reality.
but the
Yes.
mind still interprets it that way. So if you don't have an awareness of that,
Yes.
It's incredibly difficult. So imagine feeding your mind right in the morning
Yes.
with news, killings, rapes, what COVID, whatever it might be. You're going to start down that negative path. So awareness is just so critical in the overall process, and really the first step.
Yes, yes, 100% agree. Your habits have really changed your life for the good, for the better. Can you share with our listeners like how your life has changed? What type of changes have you seen? And basically just how it's been changed.
So when I started the journey 4.5, 5 years ago, because I was working on myself first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to make sure it worked for me. And then I kind of went out and test case, some beta tests on some other folks saying, hey, you want to take a look at this. And I would say from a health, wellness, spiritual, mental perspective, it's just off the charts. I mean, I'm typically up either 4 to 5 a.m., 5 days a week. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm still at 7:30 have energy. And it's
Wow.
amazing to see the difference
Yes.
from a meditation perspective, the mindset. I just
Mm-hmm.
couple weeks ago, I hit 1,300 straight days of at least 10
Mm-hmm.
minutes of meditation. I'm
Oh,
calm.
wow.
I'm
Yes.
more calm. I'm more grounded. I have more patience. When I used to drive and somebody would be driving slow and it would annoy me. Now I kind of let it go, because there are bigger things in the world than,
Yes.
get into a place. So totally transformed not only my life, but now I meditate with my sons before school, right?
That's
I
awesome.
I guide them in what I'm doing. They set yearly goals this year, right? Push-ups, jump shots, hitting honor roll. And I'm just giving a gift to them
Yes.
that now I think about them in their 40s, they're going to have 30 years of meditation. I mean,
Look
imagine
at
how
that.
powerful. So, it was not only about myself, but also leading my family. And that's been a
Yes.
tremendous win.
I like that. Getting them set up for success mentally, spiritually, emotionally, because uh, the mind is where it all starts. So until we, win the battle of the mind,
It,
then
it truly is. And I was just shooting hoops with my oldest son the other day, yesterday,
Mhm,
and he was getting down on himself. I'm just not good enough. And afterwards, we take a little time, and he came in and talked to me. He said,
mhm,
I told him, I said, you have two voices. One, the positive voice on your shoulder. The other shoulder is a
mhm,
negative voice. And he said, yeah, it's my negative voice. And his name's Jackson. What we
mhm,
call his negative voice, Jackie. And
mhm.
Jackie likes to say, you're not good enough. I said, punch Jackie in the face or tell him to go sit in the
I
corner,
like
because you
that.
are good enough. And
Yes.
and 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 it's just being able to teach them both what I
Yes.
have learned through my experiences, and just share it with others, is just extremely fulfilling.
Yes, I'm glad that you mentioned that as well. You have two voices, a negative and a positive, because in your book you talked about the RAS, I think it's called the reticular activating system.
You got it.
Yeah, where it when it's activated, it focuses on what's important and it creates like a filter. And can you go in, because I think it ties into what you just said. If what you focus is on expand, and this RAA system has a lot to do with it. So can you talk a little bit about that?
And it absolutely has such a critical piece to the puzzle, because if you've ever bought a car, you've probably experienced it, right? You've bought a
Yes.
car, all of a sudden you see that car everywhere on the road, and you're like, was there a huge sale or something that I didn't know about? No,
Yes.
there wasn't. Your mind is now open to bringing those into your viewpoint, because our mind is a filter. There is no way we could see everything that is coming our way throughout the day, right? And the mind has a limited capacity. So
Yes.
it is filtering only on a thing. So if you focus on the negative, you're going to see more negative. If
Mm.
you focus on the positive, you're going to see more positive. So however you can do it, visual reminders, a vision board, notes, whatever it is, the more you say those things, the more you see them, the more your mind is going to be open to finding those and not filtering them out, but making
Mm-hmm.
them in viewpoint. And there's an interesting app I've been using lately. I had the woman on my podcast. It's a subliminal vision board. And I said, all right, I'm going to try this out. It's an app. You can put pictures in there, and it basically flashes, and you can record your own voice. And I said, all right, I was going to have her on my
I like
podcast
that.
2 days after, or 2 days forward. So I said, all right, let me download it and try it and see. And when I was growing up, I always wanted a Range Rover. Probably not the car I want, but I said, all right, I'm going to try this. Well, it flashed up. I have seen more Range Rovers driving than I ever thought were ever on the road. So there is absolutely the power of that RAS system. And if you can leverage it for anything you want, you want more clients, you write down your ideal client, show some pictures of them. You want a boyfriend, girlfriend, write down your ideal client, what they look like. Your mind's going to be then open to seeing those people. It's so incredibly powerful.
And it does the opposite as well. If you focus on what you don't want, then you'll see exactly what you don't want. So why not use the power of choice? Because we that's something, the power of choice is so powerful, but a lot of people don't realize that, you can choose to be in a certain vibration, feeling negative and low, or you can choose to see the positives. And it all comes from being grateful, right? Because there's always something to be grateful for, but our mind is so conditioned to see what's not working. And I find myself at times when I get frustrated at my 6-year-old, thinking of all the things that I could, that I shouldn't be saying to him, and sit down and, just always saying things. And I have to get back to, and I don't like to use the word have to, I choose to get back to myself. And I said, there's so much things to be grateful for. Focus on what you have. I constantly remind myself, because it's the journey of the mind will always come back. That ego will always come back and show you what is not working. So I love how you spoke about the REA system. It was an eye opener. I've seen it before. I've known about it, but I haven't really sat down to really, understand really how it works until I read it in your book yesterday. So thank you so much.